everybody. We're here today in the studio at Finger Lakes One TV with the owner, Jim Sinacropi, and a couple of incredible guests. My name's Melissa Killeleagh, and for those of you who didn't watch our first episode, the idea behind this podcast is literally just bringing some of the, quote, other news, end quote. We are inundated on a daily basis with a lot of information that isn't necessarily positive and uplifting, and so especially in light of recent events, it's a timely podcast to be able to bring to you some positive and inspiring news. Some of the people who are going to be with us today, I'll be introducing momentarily, but we love to share with you, especially a woman who makes the world a better place, men who make a difference in our community. We also like to share different businesses and people who are out and about in the community, and then we're going to wrap up with some ideas and inspiration, and we'll be talking to Jim Sinacropi himself. So the theme for today's podcast is the concept you hear thrown out a lot: think globally and act locally. Except we're going to take that one step further, and we're going to think globally and act globally. And so I want to share with you a couple of people who do some really amazing things out and about in the community that literally impact our world. And so we're going to start today by introducing a wonderful, amazing friend of mine, Katie Dwyer. She works with me in the business of Arbon International. And I'm going to actually turn it over to her. And thank you, Katie, for coming and joining us on the show today. She drove all the way in from Homer, New York.
All the way.
All the way. And I'd love to know a little bit more about your background, Katie.
My background. I was a third grade teacher for about 20 years, retired from teaching thanks to Arbon International, our business that we work in together, and which is a pure, safe, beneficial skincare and nutrition line. Had to get a little plug in there. And I'm a mom of two kids, amazing kids. My 17-year-old is an Asperger's child, so he gives me a run for my money. And he hasn't smiled probably in 6 years, so he tells me he's smiling on the inside, so I feel like I'm doing my job okay. And then I have a hormonal 15-year-old, almost 16, who thinks she is, I don't even know. People that have daughters will understand what that means at the teenage years. I was married before for 21 years and realized my life was not complete, and I put my big girl panties on and left. And I have a great relationship with my ex. We're good friends, and we are co-parenting amazingly together, and we're still best friends, so it's a good thing. Teaching third grade probably was my lifelong dream because I love kids so much, but I like to perform 3 or 4 acts a day because I think I'm funny, and I think I have different voices, and they might come out, you never know. So that's what I do. And my thing in life is to pay it forward. When I was little, we were very, very, very poor people, and I didn't realize it, thank God, because my parents we didn't really know we were poor, which is funny because, I didn't have Nikes. I had, knockoff Nikes.
Right.
I don't even know what they were called. I don't think they had a name. There was no little swoosh. And I didn't have the Sassoon jeans. I think I had, Saratoga jeans. I don't even know what they said either, but... and we
From
slept
the Gold Circle.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And we slept in one room in the winter and had a kerosene heater. And I never realized that we were poor. I thought that's what you just do.
Yeah.
And my parents really protected that with us. And I actually always from that day, that time in my life, I remember the church bringing baskets over for food for Thanksgiving for us. And I remember looking at them, just remembering and feeling that and saying, someone gave that to us. And I always wanted to pay it forward in life.
Yeah. And
so from there, I decided my life was I'm going to give more than I receive. And I think that's why it made me very successful in Arbon, because I'm at the top of the company. I'm top 30 in the U.S. And I believe
Which is amazing, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I do believe in paying it forward. And so I found an organization with children, an orphanage in Guatemala, that I have found my heart is there. Part of my heart I have left there every year. I've taken my daughter twice. I've taken her and I took 3 15-year-olds by myself last summer.
That's an adventure.
That was fun. But you know what? I just wanted them to learn about the world and how much they have, because I always complain what they don't have. And they learned a lot, because when I go to Guatemala, we work with the Love of Mateo. I think we've talked about this before.
Yes.
It's an orphanage in Guatemala. There's many, many, many orphanages. They have no male role models. They have, most of the men have either killed the wives, or just beat them up, and the wives finally leave, or they've gone and died. It's crazy. And so these children are all orphans, and there's no international adoption anymore. And so I can't take them home.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
It stopped a couple of years ago because of baby trafficking. People were stealing children out of homes and selling them. And the orphanages are amazingly overcrowded. And our orphanage, which my friend actually runs, we have 52 kids in one house. So one room is a crib room, it's the baby room, and there's literally 20 cribs and babies crying, and there's 2 nannies. So when we go, I hold babies. So my friends all go, oh, Katie's going to hold babies.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I go and I hold babies, and I love on them.
Just love on them.
And I play with the kids. I do arts and crafts with the kids. I usually try not to connect with any. But last year I did, and she's my baby now. My little Anna Sophie is my little girl. She just latched onto me. I fell in love with her, and I'd never have done that before. My daughter as well.
And you're going back next August,
and I go back every year in August. Because I went at Christmas time. That was too hard for my heart.
Yeah.
So this
absolutely.
time I'm going back in the summer because it's a little bit more comfortable for me. I can, bring candy and food and whatever because they like fruit snacks more than anything.
Yeah.
They hold them and they don't let go.
Yeah.
So, but I pay it forward, and I believe that everybody has a dream and they can dream still. And that's why with what my business, what Arbon has done for me is be able to pay it forward.
So tell me a little bit about Arbon as a business and how you're able to pay it forward with this, because I think a lot of people, especially in the area that I live in, they don't really understand the industry that we're in. We're in network marketing, or the power and the potential that it can have. So can you just speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Well, Arbon International, I'm an independent consultant and an executive national vice president, which means, you all don't know what that means, but it just means that we're at the top of the company. And this company has given me, for the last 12 years, I retired from teaching because of it. And I actually get to, I find people that are looking for something different, to change their lives, to be stay-at-home moms, or guys that want to stay home with their kids, or men that want to do something different and start their own business, or do some kind of charity work. And it seems like as soon as you get to the top of the company, we have so many people. We have Africa. We have orphanages in Africa. We have, I think, the water sources you were telling me about earlier. A lot of my team does that. But people are allowed to dream and to play into their passions.
Right.
And it's all giving. And so this company gives you that because you make decent money.
Yeah.
You make really good money. It's like, we call it gangsta money.
Yeah.
At certain levels. And so it's kind of cool that you're allowed to work your own hours because you work from home.
Yeah.
You find people to teach and train to do what you do, which is sell amazing skincare and nutrition line.
Yeah.
And you get to find people that want to change their own lives.
Yeah.
And to dream big again, because we stop dreaming sometime in our life. And it's really horrible, and all of a sudden you can dream again.
Yeah.
I mean, I did not realize what would happen in my life 11 and a half years ago. I would never have seen me here, where I'm at now in my life, and the confidence I have, the self-growth and development you do, and your belief in yourself, and your belief in other people, and how you just want to help everyone.
Yeah.
So it's pretty powerful what Arbon has done.
Absolutely. And I think it really, the founder of our company, I know that was his vision, right? To be able to impact the world, to impact, on such a large scale. So I love that concept of think globally, act locally, and then taking that to the next level of acting globally. And, these days, now more than ever, with our access to internet and social media and being able to really reach out to people and have a broad and diverse audience, we've got a lot more reach and a lot more power. And so you are able to connect with people in a deeper and more meaningful way than if you didn't have the resources to get in front of all of them all of the time. Right. So,
well, Peter Mork, our founder, it's one thing he did that a lot of people don't know. When he first opened the business in California, Oklahoma, I can't remember which state it was. I think we started in Oklahoma, but he opened our home office in California, and the main researcher was a woman, Candace. And she had kids, and she's like, I can't work for you, I have kids. I need to find some place for them to go, and I can't afford that. And so he decided to build a daycare in the home office for her kids, and he decided that he wanted to empower women.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And if his message way back, was it 36 and a half years ago, to that he wanted to empower women so much and to give them the right to be a millionaire, because we have millionaires in our company, and the right to, make their own choices in life.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I love is, so in the 10 years that I've been in the company, I love the fact that I can look around and see that people aren't falling into the trap that we often do in our society, where we make more money and then we increase our lifestyle to meet our money, right? And instead, in Arbon, what I see is people sort of maintaining where they're at in life. They don't go out and upgrade to the 6,000 square foot house or whatever most of the time. But if they can, they do. But most people are really spending that time figuring out what those bigger dreams are and investing in their global community. Right? And taking a look at their neighbors and seeing how they can help them. And so we just have so many incredible programs. And on top of that, we also have our own charitable foundation.
That's what I was thinking too, see?
Yeah. And I know like just a couple of years ago, you were nominated for the Spirit Award for the Arbon Charitable Foundation. So could you talk about that a little bit?
Well, it was really weird. The Spirit of Arbon, from Arbon, the whole company. Actually, it's everybody in all the countries. So we have Canada, we have the U.S., we have Australia. At that point, we had Australia and the U.K. Now we have 2 other countries. We have Poland and New Zealand. Prayers to New Zealand with that earthquake. I hope, we're all good. But the Spirit of Arbon was someone that just encompasses life, takes things and doesn't let things. Yeah, it's like it's the most powerful award. Supposedly, it just made me cry a lot because I just do me. I don't do it for praise. I just do it because I believe in what I do, and it's just the one person in the whole entire company that represents what Arbon's truly about, which is giving more, doing more, and paying it forward, and really just being a better human being. Yeah. So it's kind of funny when they started talking about my journey, and I was like clapping for the person, going yes, yes, and it was me, and I was like, oh, I'm like, what, me? I didn't think it was me, but it was me, because I cheer everyone on, even if they pass me in the business. It's like, yeah, you make more money because you work harder. You deserve it. Yeah. And I cheer on my sideline sisters and my other people in the business. I just reach out to everyone. I open all my meetings, and I always welcome people in. And we always talk about things that they can change. Yeah. And I actually am a self-talk coach as well through Dr. Shad Helmstetter. So I do a lot of self-talk coaching, and I'm working on my life coach right now. And all it is teaching people how to believe in themselves. And so I earned that award. It's probably one of the biggest things in my life besides my children that I've ever earned like that. It was powerful, and to be recognized for just being you, because I'm authentic. I'm real. This is me 24/7. Yeah. My hair's back in a ponytail, whatever. Yeah. It's me.
You're not a different person at your job, at your home, all that good stuff. So it's interesting that you bring up that whole thing about self-talk. I just want to touch on that really quickly because so one of the dreams that I had that I felt like I had to wait until, I got to the top level of the company and I had money to start moving these, programs forward is I started this leadership program for young girls. And we had our inaugural weekend a couple weekends ago here in Seneca Falls because it's the birthplace of women's rights. Exactly. 5 young girls aged 10 to 14 came, and we had a couple of different speakers talking to them about that very thing. Like, what are they saying to themselves, Because we already meet a lot of negative ideas and suggestions and advertising and all kinds of stuff when we're out and about in daily life. So how can we change what we're saying to ourselves? And that was really powerful. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from the girls who are in the program, just how that little shift of getting up in the morning and reminding themselves, what their special gifts and talents are, and, how they can make a difference every day, and how they can take that little bit of edge and that little bit of knowing that that's like a secret and a key to success in life and just being human, right? To change a little bit of the culture of everywhere that they are, their schools, their groups of friends, and the different activities they're part of, and that kind of thing. So
I work hard with that. Actually, I'm pushing into classes now. I'm working with younger kids because I believe they need to believe in themselves. But my daughter's friends, they get a little bit like, because they all call me mom because I'm the mom. That's what my goal was, to be home with my kids when they're teenagers, to know what they're doing, not doing. Yeah. You get the whole picture of that. And so I'm that mom. They all tell everything too, and I'm always like, well, what do you believe in? What do you believe? Yeah. Do you believe you made a good choice or a bad choice? What and we talk about it. My daughter said she doesn't want to self-talk because she thinks she's bragging. I go, well, you don't tell anybody. It's to you. You're telling yourself. You don't want to brag to yourself. You should brag to yourself. Right. Because I say every morning, I'm fit, fabulous, and fierce. That's who I am. Your mantra. It's my mantra. And I tell her, and she's like, well, I'm not, Mom. That's not me. I go, no, it's not you. You have to find your own ignition statement. Yeah. Kind of like John O'Leary, that book, On Fire. Yeah. You have to find what gets you going every day. Absolutely. And to believe in yourself. These teenagers do not. It's that phone thing, the internet, Snapchat, Instagram, all of that has taken over their minds a little bit, and they don't know how to communicate with human beings. Yeah. So I make them put their phones away and sit with me and talk. Yeah, that's great. It's scary. That's great. So, so it's a full circle in terms of talking about, again, this concept, think globally, act locally, and then being able to take that beyond to actually act globally. But really it all does start at home. So it's great to be able to talk about
all of it, these amazing programs that we do out and about in the world, what we do in our community, but also what's going on back home that can create human beings who want to step forward and do the same kind of work, right? So
I'm praying for that.
Yeah.
Because I've taken her twice to Guatemala, and she's fallen in love with the country. I just wanted to tell you what else we did there, because now we have outreach programs we're working with.
Yeah.
We work with one group that is, it's the love, is it House of Love? They take in AIDS patients, AIDS kids.
Okay.
That they throw those babies away.
Wow.
They put them in a back room, and they just check every day to see if they're alive or dead, pretty much. It's very, very sad. And they take them all. Yeah, they take them all, and they raise them in these little houses. It's like a community. It's actually houses of little apartments. And so we went there and learned about these amazing people that do this. And we gave them gifts, of course. We brought tons of donations. I think I can't remember how many tons we brought with us between our group of 25 people. Then we also worked with, I'm trying to think of the boys, these amazing young men that are in their 20s. They have almost like a little church, but there is a brothership.
Yeah.
And we go work with the people that are homeless on the streets in Antigua, where we stay every year. And in Antigua, there's a beautiful section, all the homeless men sleep against a wall. And that's where you'll find them every single night. And so we feed them. So we actually cook. We bring out eggs for them, we just cook for them and bring them food. And I actually sat and just held hands with some guys and talked to them. Because they're one guy could speak, he was speaking English to me, started speaking French to my Canadian friend, and then started speaking Spanish to the little kids that were running around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and he's sitting here homeless.
Yeah.
And it was just paying it forward with them.
Yeah.
And then we also worked with another group, it's the dump school, they call it, because this whole entire village is in the city dump.
Oh my gosh.
People all live there. And then we went into the school, and these kids were just so cute. They were so amazing. You would never know, because they have to wear a uniform. So the principal buys them each a uniform. That's the only thing they have to keep clean. So they come to school clean every day and a uniform. And we worked with those kids, sat and worked about what our lives look like.
Yeah.
And we have so much in common. And I had the best conversation with this 12-year-old, and it was amazing. And the teacher, her and I were like conversing, because my Spanish is getting better every year. And
that's great.
It's just what we give and what we can do for just little things. So we worked with 3 or 4 outreach programs this year. But
that's great.
It was powerful to see my 15-year-old and her friends.
And the impact it has on them.
They were bringing coffee. They were running around this community, just talking to people and giving them coffee. They wanted to get bread. They wanted more food to give people, and then we ran out of food, and they were really upset. They were more upset than the people were.
Yeah.
They're like, we have no more food. There's more people over there.
They wanted to keep serving.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
So if anyone wanted to donate or get involved with For the Love of Mateo, how would they get in touch with people from that program?
It's just fortheloveofmateo.com.
Okay.
Mateo.
Okay.
You can
Fantastic.
spell it out.
So for viewers, I'll actually post that in the comments to the podcast, so that if people want to check that out and go look at photos of different mission trips that have gone on and get more information, then you can do that there. So.
Oh yeah, they're actually up now. They have more leaders going. So I think they go and visit almost, 9 or 10 times a year.
Wow,
now
that's great.
Groups go. So those kids are being held a lot and played with. And
they have some consistency in that interaction.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love them.
Thank you, Katie. I really appreciate you being part of the show today.
Well, I appreciate being here. This is fun. I love this.
It's a wonderful program to definitely learn more about and get involved with if you can. So another program that we're going to talk about today, to take a look at how our efforts can impact the world. We have Gerald Graziano here with us, and he is actually representing a program called Safe Water for Ghana. And this program is run right out of Seneca Falls. And we're going to turn it over to Jerry. Thank you so much for coming today. And again, would love to know a little bit more about your background and the program that you're here to talk to us about.
Well, thanks for having me here today, Melissa. I watched this last week. I think this is such a great idea.
Thank you.
There's a lot of really terrific people in our community and in our local area that are doing things everywhere that it's just great to hear about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm originally from Springfield, Massachusetts. I joined the Air Force in, 1983. And the Air Force dropped me off in a little town called Rome, New York. And while I was there, I got involved with a church that had an outreach to Liberia, West Africa. And right around, I want to say, 88 or 89, I took my first trip to Liberia. And it was the beginning stages when they were just about ready to start a civil war with each other. And so during that time, we get to know some people there, some of the churches that were planted, and started to see a part of the world that as a little boy from Springfield I never thought imagined. Walking through slum areas, the smells, seeing what people eat, seeing where they sleep. It was really life-changing for me. I was never the same after that. I went back again in the early 90s, and then at one point I took another trip back, and on returning to that, I decided I would go for 6 months. So my wife Karen and I loaded up our trunk and moved to Liberia, and we stayed there for 6 months. And during that time, I started a Bible college, a little Bible school, and began to notice that everyone seemed to have stomach problems and skin problems and eye problems, and couldn't figure out what it was attributed to. I used to think, well, it's typhoid and cholera, of course, and malaria and things like that. But I never made the association at that point to dirty water. So when I came back from Liberia, after a couple years, one of the men who was part of our school there, named Josephus Holly, had moved to Ghana after the Civil War. So invited me to Ghana. Well, when I went to Ghana, I found out what he was drinking was terrible. So after that trip, I came back and I had a meeting with a mutual friend of ours, Chad Sanderson. And we started thinking about how in the world do you affect millions of people from a little community like Seneca Falls?
Right.
How are we going to get safe water in the hands of people who need clean, safe drinking water?
Right.
And actually, Chad's the one who found this incredible filter. It's a biosand water filter called the Hydrate.
Okay.
And basically, it's a big, giant blue bucket. It's filled with stone and sand, and the water goes through that, creates a biological layer that kills all kinds of parasites and bacteria and things like that. And the result is clean drinking water. It's about $120 to buy one of these filters, have it installed, etc.
So, like, what would one of those filters impact? Like, how many households? Would that be for one household?
That's one household, but
Okay.
they always share their water, and it's not for washing clothes or anything. It's drinking water.
Right.
So they'll supply drinking water to maybe another family in their village.
Okay.
So when we figured that out, that was the way to do it, we still had to figure out how we were going to get those filters over there, because shipping filters that size with that much sand was an outrageous expense. And although I had people that were willing to write a check to help with it, it was certainly a big project. We found that one organization that had already worked with Hydrate had put close to 2,000 water filters in Ghana, and the non-for-profit that was going to install them didn't install them.
Wow.
So
okay.
they asked us to take control of those water filters. So it was really just, it was really a miracle of God that there was already filters there. All we had to do was get sand. So we partnered with a couple organizations, went back and started implementing these filters in various villages all over Ghana. But the thing that struck me the most profoundly during all that research was a man named Jim Bodenner. And Jim Bodenner is the executive director of the Safe Water team.
Okay.
They're located in Michigan. They do phenomenal work. They're in Puerto Rico. We're actually part of that team. We work together with them. But Jim was speaking at a corporate social responsibility event and was talking about, gave this illustration and said, if we woke up this morning and a 747 crashed for no apparent reason, we'd all be very concerned. What about 5? What if 5 crashed in one day? What about 10? How about 15? 1.5 million people a year die from dirty water, and the majority of those are kids.
Wow.
And if we knew that if that number of people were dying every day from dirty water, and it was airplane crashes, we'd have the airplane people. We'd have them working on it. We'd have the FBI, the CIA. We'd be going crazy to figure out why those planes were crashing.
Right.
But this happens every single day. And the thing is, it's such a simple solution. It's sand going through water. And there's other great water filters out there, not just the one that we implement. But so that struck me, and that's where we started to get involved here locally. So I started a 501c3 called Safe Water Ghana. And we did it, we had a couple $100 and we just started it, and people started getting excited about it. And our church, Finger Lakes Christian Fellowship, has funded a good part of those. But we also have partners, Lighthouse Foods is a partner. They're one of the biggest salad dressing distributors in the United States. They've directly helped us. The Safe Water team, the Wishing Well Foundation, which is an organization run by Guillermo Guzman down in Florida. Phenomenal organization. They had a young girl in an elementary school who passed away, and one of her friends said, let's do something for her, and they began raising money. They ended up raising several $1,000s, which was given to us to implement filters in a village called Killeleagh, which is in northern Ghana. 55 families got water filters because of this little girl's vision.
Wow.
So Safe Water Ghana, as of this year, we've put in 550 water filters right here from Seneca Falls.
That's incredible.
And it's because people just care. When you think about it, $10 a year gives a family safe water all year long, and they'll take care of their neighbor, their friend. So there have been several villages that we've worked in, and that's what we're doing. We're just putting filters in villages, as many as we can, as quick as we can.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's such a great illustration of the impact that we can have and the reach that we can have in this world, right? It's when someone has that vision and pursues it. So I thank you for all of that incredible work, Jerry. We need more of it, right? And so similarly, I would love to know how people could get involved and how they can donate. I know that you have a website and a Facebook page, so I can certainly post those in the comments to the podcast and share that as much as we can. So everyone who's viewing, if you can also pass on today's episode to all of your friends and all of your networks, so that if there's someone out there who's moved by either of these organizations and wants to get involved in some way, or maybe it sparks an idea for them, some other way that they want to have a reach in the world, then that would be really great. So is there any other way that would be good to get in touch with you? Or
a lot of people are going to our Facebook page or our webpage, safewaterghana.org. We have a donate button on there, and you can pay with PayPal or a credit card and make a payment right online. We can track that, and since we're a 501c3, people get a write-off for it.
Absolutely.
Or you can send a check, a good old-fashioned way, P.O. Box 333, Seneca Falls, 13148.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
So there's another way.
And the finance gal in me, because before my career in network marketing, I had 10 years in finance, and so this is a timely moment for us to be having these conversations, because when people do have passions that they're interested in committing to or supporting, this time of year is great, because it is a tax write-off, and we're getting towards the end of the year, so that impacts everybody's household bottom line.
Right.
So thank you for that. I appreciate it. So really quick, before we move on to our next guests, I would love from each of you some words of wisdom or a little bit of inspiration. Like, what's a motto that you live by, or a song, or some lyrics, like something that just moves you to keep doing all the good work. So, Jer, if you want to think, maybe I could pass it back to Katie.
Great.
I know she can come up
That's
with
so
those
good with
pretty
that. I love that little, bam, hey, what do you think? I really believe, again, that in life you should give more than you receive.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, really, I bring with me, I taught my daughter, we bring care packages when we go to Syracuse, because there's always the homeless people on the streets. And it's a package with like razor blades, soap, and all that stuff. And we just give it to them, it has a couple bucks in it. But little things like that can make a huge difference in our world.
Yeah.
And just like you said, all these things that we can do. We give beds to kids that have never slept on a bed.
Yeah.
To give food to kids that don't eat, to give clean water. It's just little things make a huge difference, and why not give more than you receive in your life? Because it comes back around. Your life will be blessed.
And I know that there are a lot of people who think, well, what if I don't have enough? If I don't have enough, how do I give? But the reality is, one of the greatest blessings that we have is our time. Time. Right? So when you were talking about sitting with that man in Antigua and just listening to him, sometimes that can turn a person's day or week or month or life around, just to have one person who listens and cares. Mm-hmm. So, our time is also valuable. One thing I love doing is around the holidays, serving in soup kitchens and being able to sit with people who don't have their family there with them. And the greatest thing during that time is the look on somebody's face when they feel heard and they feel seen.
Because they're people. They're real human beings. It's also like giving more than you receive, but giving your heart.
Right.
You can give your heart and your time and your words, and that means a lot to so many people.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Katie. Jerry?
I've noticed more than ever in the last several years, there's so much skepticism. People are very suspicious of organizations. There's been a lot of scandal. And so, folks are real hesitant today, and it's very understandable. But I think, we a lot of times think, oh, what can I do to make the difference? And I find something that I love, or I find something that I'm compassionate about or passionate about, because, some of us have children. Some of us, we see our neighbors in need, and we think, what would it be like if my neighbor needed that, if my kids needed that? And not sure, what steps to take. But I think, what can I do by myself? Not much. But usually with other people, I can do much more with a team of people than I can by myself.
Absolutely.
And, when you think about as Americans, we're talking about you're in the top percentage organization. That's fantastic. I'm in the top 5 percentile of the world in terms of wealth. I'm one of the top 5 wealthiest people in the world. And so is everybody in this room. Americans, we are very, very wealthy people. And the rest of the world, when you think about the fact that 1 out of 8 people in our world doesn't have access to safe water, and another 1 billion out of the 8 don't have toilets. Right? We have a lot of responsibility, and I think we get very distracted with our jobs, with our schedules, getting the kids to soccer, getting them here and there, and all that stuff's important, and family's super important. But it's also very important to keep our feet planted on the ground. We're here on earth for one reason, and that's to make a difference.
Yeah.
And, we may not be able to do a whole lot, but Mother Teresa said something many, many years ago. She says, it's not any person doing great things. We don't just do great things, but we do small things with great love.
Yeah.
And that's what makes a difference, I think.
That's awesome.
I love it. That's one of my favorite quotes.
I love it.
So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, while we transition to the next segment of the show, we're going to talk about being out and about in the community. And today's focus is really on Seneca Falls, although our focus is really like Greater Finger Lakes, and also, again, today talking about our impact from these local communities around the world. But this past week, I was out and about in Seneca Falls, and I went past a building called Academy Square. And I noticed a couple of signs that I hadn't noticed before. So there were some new businesses, and I thought, well, this is interesting. I really want to know. I want to know some new people. I often feel like I want to be the welcome wagon for Seneca Falls because I want new businesses to come and I want people to thrive, and I'm so invested in the success of this community for so many reasons. But the 2 businesses that I saw, one was a new, well, not new, but new to me, right? Licensed massage therapist who focused on therapeutic massage for women. Her name's Connie Hodde. And then we're also going to be hearing from her daughter-in-law, Abbey. Her and her husband, Luke, have a business called Bloom Multimedia. And, I just wanted to share, kind of give a shout out to these new businesses, support local endeavors. But more than anything, just spread the word, right? It's like that's the way the world works, is being able to get out there and share the good work that we're all doing. And one thing that I love about these 2, I got to meet them for lunch yesterday, and I got to learn a lot of things that I really like about them already. But one thing I really love is this whole concept of investing in the spaces that already exist in our area. A lot of people want to build these brand new offices and have these airtight spaces and whatever. And we have so many businesses here that work to revitalize, revamp, reuse, redesign, repurpose what's already existing. And so the offices that they've created, I definitely urge you to stop on by. I think I called it the Hodde Hall or something, right? It was like it's their corridor. But if you stop into Academy Square, if you go on the side that is next to the Seneca Falls Library, they're right to the left. And so we're going to turn it over and thank these 2 wonderful women for joining us on the show today. And we're going to start with Connie. And I'd love, Connie, for you to share a little bit about your business and how you got started in massage. I know from meeting with you yesterday that this is a second career, but there's definitely a lot of passion behind it. So,
yeah, I love what I do. I focus particularly on women in my massage business because I feel like not only is this kind of the hotbed of women's rights, women are the caretakers in our community, and a lot of times they overlook their own care. And if you look at the studies, you can see that chronic pain is a huge issue for women, much more than it is for men. And the doctors don't take it nearly as seriously as they do when a man comes in with chronic pain. So I feel like it's a need in our community. If we don't take care of the caretakers, they can't take care of the people they need to take care of. So that's kind of been my focus, wanting to help them feel better, to have less pain, to have better immunity, to be more relaxed, so that they can take care of their families and their businesses and the other people in the community.
I love it. And I was so impressed with your space, because when you walk in, you immediately feel that sense of peace and well-being. So, thinking, for all of you viewers who know the building that I'm talking about, thinking of how a space can be transformed, that's one reason to stop by in and of itself, is just to have that feeling and to share in that. But to get to know you a little bit better, you're not originally from Seneca Falls, correct?
Right. I'm from around Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And my husband and I have moved around with his manufacturing jobs, and we kind of landed here about 5 years ago, and just love it. We love the area. We love the amount of small businesses that are here and the way those businesses work with each other. I've been so encouraged. Other people they walk up to you and say, "That's great. You're running a small business. How can I help you?" And what and they collaborate. Mm-hmm. So it's a wonderful community to be in and to be trying to run a small business.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. So you went to Finger Lakes School of Massage.
I did, in Ithaca.
Okay.
I went there for 7 months. And Ithaca's a great place to be, but it's also oversaturated with massage therapists just because the school is there and there's so many therapists there. There are therapists in the town, but I think I'm the only one in town that's focusing specifically on women.
Yeah.
I have a little bit more of a medical massage approach. If you want a spa or a relaxing massage, there are a lot of other places to get that. Mm-hmm. And I can do that kind of work as well, but I prefer to work with you on an issue. Mm-hmm. If there's some specific reason you feel like massage would benefit you, then I prefer that kind of work.
Yeah, I was drawn to your business card for that reason, because I actually have been through yoga teacher training, and the school that I focused on really did a lot of work with anatomy and just deep body work, like understanding what's happening with muscle and tissue and fascia and all the work that needs to be done through posture. And so we had a lot of recommendation for ongoing massage and chiropractic work and everything else to keep things moving properly. So I was so excited in stepping into your office and seeing your charts of, all the muscle system of the body. That's really great. I always say I love to geek out over those things. But the other thing that I really like too is just, your warm, welcoming personality. And I think that that's important to this industry, for people to be able to make that connection quickly, because it's a very intimate kind of, connection when you're seeing your massage therapist. Now, one thing that surprised me, and I give you so much kudos for, is you already have a pretty good following of clients, right? Like a consistent clientele.
I do. It hasn't taken very long for me to kind of fill up my schedule. Mm-hmm. And I've been encouraged by that. I didn't know if in a small town there would be enough clients for me to really have a full schedule. But I've only been open for 6 months, and I'm already probably 3/4 booked every week.
Oh, so great.
That's very encouraging.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So if someone wants to schedule a massage with you, where would they go?
They can go to my Facebook page.
Okay.
They can go to my website. There's a Book Now button that they can click on just to kind of look at my schedule and see what's available. They can always text and call me. There's a lot of ways.
Fantastic. So it's Connie Hodde, Hodde, and we'll be posting her contact information in the comments to the podcast. And we can also put the link to the website as well. So hopefully we'll have some people who want to come over, check out your space, and utilize your services. I definitely appreciate you coming on today,
Great.
Connie.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll turn it over. This is such a unique. So here's how this all happened, right? I had both business cards, and so I called and I spoke with a man by the name of Luke, and I set up an appointment to go in and talk to him about his business. And then I got out the next business card and I called Connie and set up an appointment just a few days later to meet up for coffee and chat about her business. And then when I showed up to the meeting with Connie, all of a sudden this other beautiful woman walks in, which is Abby, who happens to be her daughter-in-law, who happens to be married to the first person I made the appointment with. So if these two women aren't after something that is near and dear to my own heart, which is efficiency. And I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But Abby, your business is Bloom Multimedia, right?
Yes.
So how did you guys get started?
Luke and I met in college. We were both communications majors, and we were like fast friends, instantaneous friends, and then an instantaneous couple, and all of our friends can attest to the fact that we were inseparable. And then we ended up interning at the same place, as if we didn't already spend enough time together. So we interned at a firm, and we spent some time doing, this multimedia work. We were helping design websites. I was writing a lot of content. We were doing graphic design and all of that stuff for this firm. And we just had this overwhelming feeling that the way they were running their business is not the way we would want to run our business. And so Luke and I just kind of got together and we put our heads together, and he was like, you're a really good writer, and I can design stuff, and we should get together and make a company. And so we did. And so we just kind of wanted to focus on working with small businesses and helping people realize their dreams in a way that was efficient and fast and cost effective, but also inspired and new.
Yeah, I love it. And I love your logo, which I said yesterday. So I have to show you. Their logo is actually a lotus, which I want you to, talk a little bit about that. But there's my tattoo. I swore I would never have a tattoo in my life, but now I have a tattoo of a lotus, and it's been there for a couple years now. And there's a lot of deep and ongoing meaning behind that for me. But talk about what that means for your business.
There are a couple of things that it means. First of all, we were just inspired by the beauty and the symmetry involved in it. And Luke and I are both very aesthetic people, and we're inspired by beautiful things. But additionally, when we were talking at lunch yesterday, you mentioned, and it really rung true for me, about how the lotus grows in muddy water. And so it's this really beautiful and pure thing that grows out of a really complicated and messy environment. And I think that the internet, which is largely where we do our business, is a lot of the same thing. People have to get through that base level of learning to understand the internet, and building a website is a complicated process, especially when you're coding from scratch like my husband does. So you have to get through this surface level of really complicated, frustrating, and stuff to get to the beautiful realization of your dream, which is, for us, we just want to help small businesses achieve their fullest, most beautiful potential. We want them to get their idea out there in a way that is true and rings true with who they are as a business.
Authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. And beautiful. We want to take what people are passionate about and make it beautiful.
Right.
So, for example, we're working with a cidery right now. We're working with a brewery. And both of these companies have really innovative and cool ways and cool methods of doing what they do. And we just want to represent that in a beautiful way.
Right.
That's
right.
important to us.
I love it. And I know you have a huge passion for social media.
Yes, I do.
Which I'd love for you to talk to our audience about, because that's kind of how I introduced the concept for today's show, which is all about, the idea, think globally, act locally, except for act globally too, right? And so what I talked about in the beginning of the show is the fact that the internet and social media has really given us a lot of power, a lot of leverage, a lot of reach to get out there in the world in a meaningful way, if it's done correctly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'd love for you to kind of just speak to that passion for social media.
Yeah, for me, it's about, I don't want people to be overlooked because they don't understand. With social media, I think it's just such a convenient and honest way of communicating with an audience. So, for example, I run Connie's Facebook page, and the meaningful connections that can be created there, I don't want people to miss out on just because they don't know how to say something, or they aren't sure when is the right time to post something. I want to kind of, breeze past all of that and just create an environment where people can have real meaningful connection and can get information that makes them want to do something or to make a change in their life. So, for example, with massage, I just want to inspire people to get a massage because it's good for them. And I want them to genuinely make that connection for themselves and not spoon feed it to them in this fake ad campaign-y kind of way.
Right.
It's just, it allows for one-on-one connection in a way that other sources don't.
I like that. I love it a lot, actually. One of the things, so Katie, who's here with us today, she's in the same company that I'm in, which is Arbon International. And, we talk a lot about how we truly are our brand. Like, we're brand ambassadors.
Yeah.
And so to be able to get that across on social media when you're still an independent consultant, so you're not working directly for the organization, you really have to know what your brand is. Mm-hmm. And it isn't always clear what it is you're trying to get across. I've done a lot of work over the past couple years with different coaches who, one program, for example, was called Passion on Purpose. And it was figuring out, what is driving you, what is motivating you, and then getting the intention of that into your message and your brand and how to get that out there in the world.
Developing your voice.
Yeah.
It's just finding your voice. And I think that's so important, especially right now, and especially for young people who are starting businesses. You just have to find who you are and speak it into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So that would really be an ideal client for you, right? Like new people, starting out.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, we like to work with small businesses just because we know what that's like. We know what it's like to have a good idea and know that you can do it, and even sometimes know that you can do it better. But to not quite know how to reach people and get them to know that and understand that and to make that resonate with other people. Yeah. So that's definitely our passion.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today. And I'll also post the contact information in the comments for the podcast. So definitely go ahead and share that on your own Facebook pages and all that good stuff. And now we're actually going to turn over to a segment of the show before we do that, I want to give a couple of shout-out kind of things, because I was walking through downtown Seneca Falls and I noticed there's a couple of business owners who are celebrating this week. One of them is Sinacrope's Florist. It is their 41st anniversary, so they're doing a 41% discount on pretty much everything in the store. So stop in, and if you haven't been in there before, you definitely need to. But most people have used them for all different kinds of services, whether it's a wedding or just going in and grabbing flowers for a friend you love. But there's also another florist right down the road called Blossoms by Cosentino, and they're doing a really great collaboration with their next-door neighbors this weekend. I believe it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but it may just be Thursday, Friday, an open house for some holiday shopping, so you can stop in there and check out what they have to offer. But it's a good time to start getting prepared, considering the holidays are right around the corner. So another one of my roles that I have is I work with a publication called Finger Lakes Woman. And so I would love to hear from viewers any other businesses that you would love to have showcased, not only either through this podcast, but potentially in the magazine. We love giving a voice to all of the different businesses that influence and affect the decision-making that women make throughout the Finger Lakes. So again, please go ahead and use the comments in the podcast to share information with us. And moving into our segment on ideas and inspiration, we're going to turn it over to the owner of Finger Lakes One, which is Jim Sinacrope. I absolutely love working with him. He's been in this community for quite some time with a lot of vision. And one of the things that came up on our last podcast was Menzo Case was here from Generations Bank, and he was talking about a plan that had been put together for Seneca Falls years ago that has kind of been tabled and recently seems to have resurfaced. And Jim was one of the people who spearheaded and was part of the group that put this together. And the reason why this conversation came about is we were talking about our vision for this area, our vision for the future. And it's so important to not only be doing these things in our businesses, but also, in our homes and in the areas in which we live. And so, Jim, thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this segment today.
Hi.
So I'd love it if you could share a little bit about this plan that happened a while back and what your ideas are for whether or not we'll be moving this thing forward.
Well, this is going back to maybe 2006, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not even sure what. It was a long time ago, though. And I was on a committee, the Seneca Falls Economic Development Committee, and there was a couple elected officials on there. Karen Beals was on there. She was a guest last month on your show. Mm-hmm. And our task was to develop a plan for the future of Seneca Falls. And we worked with a consulting company, which was, to me, it was kind of frustrating because I knew what they were getting paid. And they weren't from our town, so I didn't understand why we were paying somebody so much money to tell us about what we should do with our town. But, we went through some exercises, I guess, and brainstorming and all that stuff. And what resulted was this plan, step-by-step plan, with focusing on different aspects of the local economy. But without going through the whole plan with you, the thing that stuck out to me the most is that, there's a lot of talk about, well, here in Seneca Falls, we have Great Lakes and we have the canal harbor. We have a great small town feel, great access to Syracuse, Rochester, and other communities, and we're right here in the Finger Lakes, and all that's great. There's a lot of communities, though, that can say the same thing. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that makes Seneca Falls special is that we're the birthplace of women's rights, the great women that came before us here, and you know all the names: Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Susan B. Anthony, Amelia Bloomer, Lucretia Mott, all these great women that fought for women's suffrage and women's rights in general. That's unique to Seneca Falls. So our plan was rooted in that. That's the most important thing. There's other things like the inspiration for the movie It's a Wonderful Life is another thing, but really the one thing that we need to focus and capitalize on is the fact that we are the only home of birthplace of women's rights. It's internationally recognized. Yeah. So not only just to embrace that, but one reason that we're known for that is because things that happen here in Seneca Falls influenced the whole world, influenced billions of people. Half the population are women. But going further, there's still women across the globe and who don't have the right to vote or own property. And so Seneca Falls needs to continue to advocate or be a beacon to those individuals and still be a conduit for change like we were in, the 1800s and early 1900s. So that was the crux of the plan, I guess, that we put together. Those were the major points, and it went away for a while. When I was off of the committee, which we actually formed LDC, was one of the last things that we did, was we took this committee and made it an LDC. And then I stepped away, and things kind of slowed down, not because I stepped away, but over time, it just kind of slowed down. And I remember thinking, man, we spent all this time on this plan. I was really confident in the plan, and nobody's even doing anything. Mm-hmm. And then I got invited to a presentation at Generations Bank given by Menzo Case. Maybe this was 3 years ago now. And it was about economic development. And I'll be honest with you, even when I was going to that meeting, I was like, another economic development meeting. I'm getting sick.
We're going to do this again.
And he pulled out our plan. He said, I found this plan, and we haven't been following it. A lot of effort went into this, and and since then, we have been making steps according to that plan that was written over a decade ago. And, for instance, the women's right to run 19K race.
Yes.
That is part of the plan, I guess, to have an event like that that's based in women's rights.
Yeah.
The new installment outside the corporate office of Generations Bank, the statue, again, it's all part of that. So it's nice to see some of the things actually materializing now. And there's new windows at the future home of the Women's Hall of Fame across the canal at the knitting mill that look really great. So things are moving forward, and it's exciting.
And actually, viewers may not know about that. So on the canal, you cannot miss the old knitting mill, which has been a little bit of an eyesore with all of the work that has needed to be done. But as the work is being done, those windows that are going to replace everything that's been boarded up for some time now are here. And so a lot of people are getting really excited because they'll be installed soon.
They're in.
Oh, they're
look
in
at
already?
it. Yeah, look at it. Take a look. It
I
looks
didn't
amazing.
notice.
Yeah, no, it really does.
Wow.
It changes the whole look of the
So
building.
I'll post a picture when we post the podcast.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. Well, I really appreciate you sharing this because this is where the conversation evolved last month. It evolved into, what are we doing here to really own this identity that we have? Because, and I'm probably going to have, if people could throw tomatoes right now, they'll be doing it at their computers. But I'm going to have some people who would really boo me for saying this. But any quaint upstate New York town could have owned It's a Wonderful Life. We just happen
we could have an argument about that, I guess, right. But there's a lot of things. There's a lot of
idiosyncrasies and connections
But that's not 100% deal like the women's rights.
Right. It wasn't something that we know, concrete facts, happened right here in our home, and yet we haven't really fully embraced that identity yet. And so I'm really excited to hear that that's happening. I know that it has sort of urged me. Katie was talking earlier about find your tug, right? What are the things out there that tug at your heart and make you move? And so it's really urged me to step forward into getting involved in our community in that way, because that means something to me. It means something to me that we could actually embrace our history and pull that history forward to create a beautiful future. So thank you so much for sharing that, Jim, because I just think more people need to know about it, and the more we talk about it, and that's the other beautiful thing is, with the amount of information out there on the internet and social media, the more we talk about things, the more we sort of bring awareness, but we also bring accountability, right? Because someone out there is going to hear about it and they're going to fall in love with the idea, and they're going to be that voice, that pesky voice in the background, but what about the plan? But what about the plan? But what about the plan? Right? And we need more of that, because it is very easy to do what Jerry talked about earlier on the show, to kind of get lost, in the details of our lives, our jobs, our families, and those are all important things, but, we also do have some sort of responsibility, to paying it forward, like Katie talks about. So I'm grateful for everyone who's been on the show today. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure just sitting here chatting with all of you. The last thing that I want to leave you with to tie it up is my favorite quote by Margaret Mead. I actually wrapped up my graduate school commencement with this quote, and I'm all about quotes, so you have to bear with me. But she said, "Never doubt that a small, concerned group of citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." And I feel like that's just, that is our community. And here's to moving that forward. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.